Ever since a baby, I've been trying to get away, trying to lock in the guap, trying to block all the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box, and I'm copping the pain. We out for the stars, we're a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitches are jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know what the bros, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like Durant do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, not taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in a great estate.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sunday, and we're going to break down some NFL football.
Yeah, Sunday, week 10, best day of the week, in my opinion. Sunday, just get to sit and watch football all day, especially when the football starts at 2:30. Obviously, the Giants-Panthers game is going on in the background. I hope you're enjoying that. Don't know how many Americans woke up early enough to watch it, but Bryce Young, I think, is putting in a good performance so far.
Well, yeah, and they're going to make him score a touchdown again.
Yeah, make him
take
get
that one away, but he just got him a first down. But yeah,
make him get another one. But Jay, this week started on Thursday with an absolutely amazing game between the Ravens and the Bengals. The Ravens came out on top, 35-34. But Jay, are the Ravens still vulnerable? Are they vulnerable in they look like an amazing team, one of the best teams in the AFC? But are they vulnerable?
I think every team is at some point, right? But yeah, their defense, and we're used to their defense being better, so I think sometimes we give them a pass. But yeah, they definitely need to work on their defense.
Yeah, I think the question is, can Lamar continue to save them from these defensive mishaps that they keep on having? The Ravens defense has given up the most yards. Obviously, they've played one more game than everybody else at the moment, but they've given up the most yards in the NFL. They've given up the third most points in the NFL, and at 25 points per game. So taking in the fact that they've played one more game than everybody else, but 25 points per game, that's 24th in the NFL. There's going to get to a point where you're playing against these really, really good teams, and the Bengals, we'll talk about the Bengals, how good they are in a second. But there's going to be a point where when you're playing against these really great teams that you're not going to win that shootout.
Can you use the word good in the same sentence with a 4-6 team?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? When you start as slow as the Bengals do, right? They're an interesting.
They literally, and I guess it's possible if you look at their schedule, but they literally got to run the table to go 11-6.
Yeah, and it's not like that they had injuries to start this season off, right? If it's okay, the Rams team that started really slow because everyone got injured, and now we're questioning how well can they do in the playoffs. Obviously, they've got a losing record right now, but with this Bengals team, so I think the Ravens are really vulnerable. I think they're still probably the second best team in the NFL right now because of the way that they can control the ball. But their defense needs to sharpen up and can't continue to give up that many points. What also helped them, Jay, was some questionable refereeing calls here. Jay, how does the NFL solve this refereeing problem? A lot of missed face masks in that game.
It's never going to happen until they get sued. When they get sued for gambling and they start having to go to court and hire more pay more lawyers because they got a ton of them on the payroll. But yeah, then something will happen. But until then, the NFL is reactionary. They never get in front of anything. They always just reactionary to everything instead of preventive. And they're a bunch of rich billionaires who think they can do whatever they want until they go, oh, fuck, we can't do that.
Yeah, because just a weird thing happened. A weird thing has happened in these past 3 weeks, I think, where we have the Jared Verse face mask on Sam Darnold that cost the Vikings an opportunity to go win the game.
They don't tell us. I want to know what Kevin O'Connell's fine is for coming out this week and letting the refs have it.
Yeah, definitely. And also other calls in that game, but the big storyline one is that Jared face mask. And then we watched in the Vikings versus the Colts. Was it the Vikings versus the Colts or another game?
Yeah, where
last
they
week?
club him across the face and pick up the flag and put it away.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about that one, but that was weird. But we saw one, it must have been in a primetime game then, where the refs got a call from upstairs saying that there was a face mask, and they got the call right. The call was right.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what game, but
in.
I remember messaging the group chat and said that only works when they're not playing. And you go, at least they got it right. And I said, fuck that, because that's competitive balance. Like you got to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
You
It's
can't
like
let upstairs help a week later because you look like Joey Jerkoff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they got it right, and they got right what they're meant to do. Really, in our point of view, I'd rather them get it right, and just the game takes a bit longer, and we bring things back. But you have to start getting it right from the start of the season. You can't just change the process.
Or you have to at least go, we fucked up and we changed the rule, which you didn't say. And now, but all of a sudden, it's against the rules to get help from that a week before that. But then all of a sudden, you hear that they're getting the call, or like the face mask where they clubbed Sam Darnold, they picked up the flag that had to be from New York, telling them. But exactly. How do you watch it if you're New York and tell them to pick up the fucking flag? I don't get it.
And then in this week's game, they then didn't bring in the call from. They then didn't bring in the call for the Bengals versus the Ravens.
Yeah, no, that's what I agree with you.
Yeah, they then didn't bring in the call. So it's like it felt like I was watching it. I was like, okay, they're trying to save face by not saying that they fucked up, right? But they fixed it. It looked like they fixed the issue and like actually getting the call right. And then they've gone back to doing it again where they fucked it up and got it wrong again. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm talking about the call where there's 3 face masks in one call that would have given the Bengals an automatic first down as well. Jay, just to finish out this one.
Oh, yes. Okay, because I did message that makes me go, I messaged the group and go, oh, the refs just fucked the Bengals on this one.
Yeah, it was crazy. They missed 3 face mask calls in one play, or 2 hands to the face in a face mask. And no call from New York. So was it just a week 9 thing? And then they realized that they fucked up in week 9 because they weren't allowing it for the rest of the season. So now they've gone back to just fucking weird.
They're watching the show, Maddie. They heard me.
Must have been. But then, they've listened to you in week 8 and then try to fix it. And then realize that they actually fucked up trying to fix it too early. They need to wait to fix it now at the end of the season.
All they have to do is have the owners vote, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in person. This isn't like fucking some national election. Like, you just get on a phone call and everybody fucking votes, and then you change the fucking rule. Like, I don't know how hard it is for the NFL owners. Like, I don't get why you don't want to fix things in real time. Like, oh, we got to wait. We got to have an owners meeting. We all have to go down to some rich ass resort, sit around a fucking table, and then vote on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But in that game, Lamar Jackson ended up being awesome. Derrick Henry ended up being awesome. They played some great football. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. A huge problem for anybody coming up against them in the AFC. Guys, if you want to chat about the referees, feel free to do it in the chat below. We've got quite a few people in the lobby at the moment, so feel free to put in the chat and we'll react to any of your messages. Jay, are the Bengals back in contention? Like, because at the start of the season, it was like, where are the Bengals? Like, are they still this AFC contender? Where are they?
They needed to win that game. I hated that they went for 2. I fucking hated it. And I'll tell you why. Whoever won that coin toss had a good chance of scoring. So, but the Ravens D, yes, can be sketch at times, but have we watched them in the red zone? Have we, like, I know that they were moving the ball, but like, you're going to put this whole game on one fucking play? Like, that didn't make sense to me. Now, if the Ravens were obviously the better team, yes, you go for 2, try to get that win, sneak it and get sneak a win and get out of there. But I think if you go back and you can win that coin toss, you win. And all you got to do keep them out of the end zone, and you can win that game with the way that both offenses were playing. I hated the fucking call. I was like, that is another reason why Zach needs to be fired. Get him the fuck out of there. It just made me go, what the fuck are you doing? Plus, I was a little salty because there was a brief minute where I was winning that fucking bet. I was winning that bet with and then minute and a half left, they score. I'm like, way too early. But I'm like, if they stop them, I win this fucking bet. So I was a little in my feelings over that.
Yeah, the Ravens defense is a really weird defense where they give up 25 points a game. They're the 24th worst. They're the 24th team in the NFL in terms of points per game. But it seems when they need to come up with a play, if they've got to come up with only one or maybe two plays in a game, they will come up with those plays. So it's a strange team.
That's got to be a place where you're really missing Joe Mixon.
Yeah, definitely. And
because the defense has to sell out for Mixon. So no matter, you got a lot more opening if you want to throw that ball.
Yeah, and if you had Mixon and Chase Brown, I think Chase Brown has been a really good option out of the backfield this season, but he's not your bell cow back. That's not what he'll be able to do.
Yeah, he's not going to scare you from 2 yards out. Where Mixon, if anybody's watched him this year, like that dude hit the fountain of youth.
Yeah, Chase Brown actually reminds me a bit of Austin Eckler, like that kind of player. So if you have an Austin Eckler and a Joe Mixon, those kind of players, then you're in really good shape. They don't have a Joe Mixon. We'll see how Khalil Herbert comes up for the Bengals. With the Bengals, just to finish, I think Joe Burrow looks back to his best again. I think Jamar Chase is crazy. 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 59 fantasy points. Like, he looked ridiculous.
No, not like I said, not a doctor, but from what I understand, Joe Mixon's going to be a week-to-week thing, maybe for the rest of his career with that wrist injury. Like, is it stiff? Is he got full motion? Is it? And I think we're going to have that. And it's sad because, like, we haven't seen a quarterback. He's the first one we've seen come back from this injury.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it might just be, like, I think you're right. It might just be the case. And what the Bengals need to do in that case is what they've needed to do for all the seasons that we've been doing this show, Jay, is build an offensive line and learn how to run the ball and only rely on Joe Burrow when you have to rely on Joe Burrow. And that's what the Bengals have had to do to be AFC contenders since we've been doing the show.
I don't know why I keep fucking spacing this kid's name, but they need to sell out in the draft for the running back from fucking Boise State.
Yeah, if the Cowboys don't get in, the Cowboys have more holes that they need to fix rather than drafting.
I'm just saying that the Bengals they need offensive line, obviously, but they almost need to like make sure they get a stud running back for the days where Burrow's not 100%. Yeah,
definitely. Definitely. And it's just a better offensive line. And it's just what they've needed to do since we've started doing the show, and we're 3-4 years in now. So it's crazy.
It's our 4th year. It's wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
It'll be our 5th playoffs. This is our 4th season.
That's insane. That's insane. Just a thing that happened in COVID because we were both like,
yeah, and the story on how it happened. Yeah, that's just it.
But Jay, moving into Sunday previews. This is where we give everybody our bets for every single game as we go through. Now, some of these bets we don't particularly like, but we do pick as we go through. If you want to see our best bets, go back to our Thursday show, but we will be mentioning them as we go through here as well. We talk about the showdowns of the week and we talk about the spreads. So follow on for this. But the Colts are playing against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 4-point favorites in this game. Jay, would you have played Anthony Richardson in this game?
I mean, I can see both ways, right? You get him back in after what happened. But then if you bring him back in, you make yourself look like an asshole because then everybody knows it was a punishment and you were saying it wasn't a punishment for tapping out. So I think Steichen's trying to save face, but yeah, they should be playing him.
Yeah, I hate in any profession when people try to save face. I really just don't like that. I just think it's completely unprofessional. Like, I know it's like you've got to save a job and you've got to keep your get yourself paid and with the media around and all of that kind of stuff. But I just hate when people try to save face. Just make the right decision for your team. And I do think that playing Anthony Richardson back out there, I got why they played Joe Burrow last week. I think if they managed to win that game against the Vikings, they had a really good opportunity to make it to the playoffs. But now I think their road to the playoffs is a bit murky. And if you get to the playoffs, what are you really doing once you get there as the Colts? I think Anthony Richardson got his slap on the wrist. I would put him back in if it was me.
Did you see the interaction between him and Kevin O'Connell after the game?
Anthony Richardson, I did. It was Kevin O'Connell saying something like, go on and keep playing or something like that.
Just keep working. I have faith in you. You're going to make it in this league. I'm like, bro, you're like consoling players from another team. What kind of like Kevin O'Connell out there just giving the love? Like
he just loves to coach. He just loves to coach. He's just a coaching wizard. But I would put Anthony Richardson in, especially in this game, with the way that the Bills' pass rush shapes up. Like, it's not a particularly good pass rush. And it's not an amazing run defense either. I think this is a real big potential for Anthony Richardson to have a big game. But they're playing Joe Flacco, so doesn't matter. What they do there, Jay, is the Bills' pass rush effective enough to go against this Colts offensive line that is much improved?
Yeah, I just think if you're the Bills, it's not even the pass rush you have to. I mean, pass rush matters, but if you can stop Jonathan Taylor, you take away all of their superpower right there. Like, I think then they become one-dimensional. You tee off on Flacco, who can still throw, but he can't move, and everybody he's loved, and it's fun to watch Flacco play. But a thing that hurts that offensive line with Flacco is he's got such a long throwing motion. It's like an extra half a second and people are like, if you don't watch football, you're like, what's a half a second? But anybody who watches football knows that's the difference in everything is one step in the NFL.
Yeah. The other problem with Flacco is he's come in to be the sensible option for the Colts, right? To play the run game, play good defense, like all of that kind of stuff, make the throws you're meant to throw. Joe Flacco has a really bad turnover problem. But by the way, just so people know, like Joe Flacco is not that sensible of an option to play in the NFL. I think if you're the Bills, I'm selling out to stop the run. I'm putting a safety over the top of wherever Josh Downs is on the field, and keeping an eye on Alex Pierce down the field as well, but not like if he beats you with another 40-yard bomb, it's like, okay, like whatever. And then I'm running the game through James Cook. Jay, actually, the Bills do have a problem on the offensive side of the ball here, which could affect the way that you're betting. Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman are both out in this game. How much does that affect the Bills in this one?
I'm not worried about it going against the Colts.
Yeah, me neither. I would be running the ball a lot in this game. We'll talk about that when we get to our fantasy plays to play. Jay, the Bills are -4-point favorites. Who you got?
They were one of my locks at 3.5 on Thursday.
Yeah, they were both of our lock at 3.5 on Thursday. I'm going to keep them at 4. You're going to keep them at 4 as well. 0.5 point when it's a lock.
I was thinking about this though. If we placed the bet on Thursday, we would get the 3.5. So
yeah,
we should keep the 3.5 on the pick.
I keep the 3.5. I keep the best bets as what we bet on Thursday, and then I move our Sunday bet with the line that's on Sunday when we pick.
Right. I'm just saying that you and I should get them at 3.5 because if we'd have placed the bet, that's when we would have got the bet.
You get them at 3.5 on your best bets, and you get them at 4 on your Sunday bet.
How does that doesn't make any sense? That's so weird.
It's the spreadsheet. It's the rules of the spreadsheet, Jay. That's where we're at.
So technically, you could win your best bet and still lose the regular bet.
I'll wait to see. I'll wait to see if that happens. There was a team. I'll have to go back through and look through the spreadsheet, and I'll tell you after the show. But there was a team that was an underdog on the best bet. I think it was the Chargers. They were an underdog on the best bet and a favorite on the Sunday.
Yes,
but like they won on both, so it's fine. But like that was a weird one. Hey. Moving on here to the Saints versus the Falcons. The Falcons are 3.5-point favorites on the road here. Can the Saints run game nullify the Falcons?
Okay, this is random, and I probably shouldn't even say it, but I'm watching the game right now as we go. And Brian Daboll looks like he's dressed up to steal a kid and put him in a white van with no windows.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Saints Falcons. This was another one of my lock picks of the week. I don't think this is going to even be close, especially like I know they're talking about a little, but how come nobody's talking about Chris Olave like they were fucking Tua?
Yeah, right. Chris Olave's come back in. Chris Olave was knocked clean out. Like
he's taken 3 headshots this year. This is his second concussion in like 3 weeks. And he had a couple at Ohio State. He had a couple last year. I don't understand why. Oh, Tua's a big problem, but the rest of the world's like, fuck Chris Olave. Like,
yeah, it's weird. Tua is in a position where he can protect himself more and just chooses not to. Is a weird one, but Chris Olave in this Saints game here. I think the Saints can get a run going here. Like the Falcons gave up. Rico Dowdle got 75 yards against them last week. They're not particularly strong against the run game. They're not particularly strong against the run game here. The Falcons pass rush is pretty poor as well. Like the Cowboys had a decent amount of time to throw against them, which they haven't had all the way through. Are you surprised that the Falcons didn't make any moves at the trade deadline for some better pass rush? There was pass rushers out there. People were shopping pass rushers. Are you surprised that the Falcons didn't make a move?
Yeah, and I don't know why everybody's always scared to just make a big move. Like we can't give up a first round for a fucking player that we already know, established player. Yeah. It's a weird thing. And as you were talking about the running game, I was looking this up quick because I have him in one of my leagues. Alvin Kamara is projected at 21.5 points today in fantasy football.
Yeah, so I do worry about this game a little more, but I just think the Falcons' offense is so supercharged right now and the Saints' defense has been really poor that I don't see a way to the Saints winning this game, which if you're only giving me 3.5 and I don't see the way to a win, I'm always going to be taking the 3.5 there. You taking the 3.5 as well. Still. Jay, were the Saints right to get rid of Dennis Allen?
Yes and no. They were right, but they were a year late.
Yeah, 1 year too late. I think people are saying, oh, it's a bit early to get rid of him during the season, but actually I think both me and you agree that it just should have been before the season. Apparently the players hate him.
And yeah, it's not too early when your season's already fucked and you can prep for one of these big names coming out or the guys who are out there. If you want to see, you can't talk to Ben Johnson. You can't talk to Slowick. You can talk to fucking Bill Belichick, and all you have to do is call Dan Quinn and go, can we talk to Vrabel? And he's going to say yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he's not on the sideline coach. He's just part of the organization. You know what I mean? So there's no way Dan Campbell's going to keep a guy like that from interviewing if you wanted to interview him early.
Yeah, even if you want to talk to guys like Robert Saleh, if you think that, like, I wouldn't give him a head coach.
There's no way the Packers will say go as an advisor. They're going to say yes. Go ahead and talk to him.
Are you allowed to talk to college coaches at this point as well?
Yeah, as long as the college doesn't throw a fit about it too. But that's usually written into their contracts that they can move on for. And then if you move, they can even most college coaches have it in their contract. They can move to another college. There's just a huge buyout number that college has to pay the other college.
Yeah, it's just a great time to start doing your due diligence. And you can start to you can see who steps up, who's a good player for the culture of the organization, who steps up in this difficult time. Now that the head coach isn't there, you can kind of look at those kind of moves and those players and whether to ship some people as well. We've both got the Falcons there at 3.5, and that's a best bet from us. Jay, a game I found really difficult to call. This is probably Jaden Daniels' biggest test so far, I would say. The Commanders are 2.5-point favorites against the Steelers. They are at home. Can the Commanders' secondary hold up against this improved Steelers passing game?
No.
Yeah, I find if Marshall Lattimore was fit, which he isn't yet. So I really like the Commanders in the long term. Their defense, I think, will improve. But I'm going to struggle to see them going forward, taking on this Steelers passing game that's really solid.
But it doesn't change anything for me. I don't think that either secondaries are good. but I think the Commanders are a way better team, and this 2.5 is nothing to me. Give me the Commanders at 2.5 because as much as Russell Wilson changes compared to Justin Fields, I don't think they're going to stop Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry in that offense. I don't think they're going to have the answer. And don't get me wrong, they have good pass rushers, and they'll probably get some sacks, but I still think Jaden Daniels is going to make big plays with his legs, which in return will open up big plays when he's scrambling with his arm, because if you watch him, he's always looking downfield while he's moving. I don't think either secondary is going to completely shut down either side, but I do think the Commanders are going to make a lot more plays.
Yeah, I think Brian Robinson Jr. missing in this game is a big miss for them. I think he's a really important part of their offense, but also they do have Austin Eckler there, so they don't lose loads in their run game. It's just a different type of run game that they have to operate, which actually against the Steelers, you're not going to get a lot of yards up the middle. So I do think Austin Eckler is a better run game asset for them against the Steelers, breaking out as well. I'm going to take the Commanders at 2.5 points here for the same reasons as you, Jay. I think the reason that the Steelers have been so good is they've unlocked Russell Wilson, almost like Seahawks Russell Wilson. But what was Seahawks Russell Wilson? He had an elite defense. And I think Jaden Daniels is a really difficult player for this defense to go up against. He will just run away from wherever TJ Watt is. Cam Hayward won't have as big of an effect here either. And I think his athleticism really brings them to the fore here, and the fact that he looks downfield the whole time. So I agree with you there. Commanders at 2.5 is a great pick there. Jay, the Mac Jones-led Jacksonville Jaguars are going up against your Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 7-point favorites in this game. How does Mac Jones affect the point spread in this one? Because the point spread hasn't moved. But I think it's just because they knew that Mac Jones was playing all week.
Well, and also I don't think that it's talented as
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. I was like, Lawrence was coming into my head. I couldn't remember. Trevor Lawrence is talented as fuck, but that team has been awful. And I kind of think the point spread is based on the fact that everybody knows Doug Peterson lost that team.
Yeah, definitely. The team is poor. The culture is poor. They've made the Vikings offensive line better while making their own worse by trading Cam Robinson. The way that this Vikings defense operates is just difficult for any quarterback to read.
Ezra Cleveland's out for them too, who the Vikings traded to him a year ago, but who starts for them. So Ezra Cleveland's out on that offensive line also.
Yeah, so you're bringing in Mac Jones against one of the hardest, possibly the hardest defense to read in the NFL.
The most exotic anyway, right? Like that's a good way to, I think is a good term. It's the most exotic.
Yeah, definitely the most exotic. I like that. Yeah, this the only thing exotic about Minnesota this time of year, isn't it? Is what goes on in the dome, I guess. But I think it's not necessarily the best defense in the league, it's in the top 5. Like 100%. But it's definitely the hardest to read just because they throw so many crazy looks. So Mac Jones, good luck today. I'm praying for you to not get yourself killed and not get yourself thrown out the NFL by throwing 5 interceptions. But I'm not entirely confident that you won't do that. Jay, the Vikings are 7-point favorites. Who you got?
I hate the spread because the Vikings love 1-score games. They just live for 1-score games. I'll take the Vikings, but if they lose this game, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
I think it would be if they lose this game, it would definitely be a terrible, terrible loss with Mac Jones at quarterback. I don't love the point spread in this one. Again, I wouldn't bet it just because the Vikings love 1-score games so much. So I'm going to go with the Vikings as well as 7-point favorites. But
Danny Dimes runs one in.
What's the score over there in Munich right now?
If they get the extra point, it'll be 14-17.
All right, okay. Still good on the spread. Jay, a game that I find strange on the spread here is the Chiefs 7.5-point favorites against the Broncos, and it's not because I don't think the Chiefs are way better than the Broncos. It's the style of play that the Chiefs go for. Right, the Chiefs win again in one-score games. And it's not just one-score games, it's often things like 3 points. So, Jay, are Vegas still misunderstanding the way that the Chiefs play?
No, I think this says more about that Vegas understands how bad the Broncos are at the core.
I disagree with you on the Broncos here. I think the Broncos have one of the better defenses in the NFL, at least top 10. I think the quarterback is playing to expectation. Like the rookie quarterback is playing to expectation here, which is don't lose us the game. And I think at points he has played well enough to be considered the person who wins them games.
So expectations was to be mid?
Yeah, but I thought Bo Nix's expectation was to be pretty mid.
Well, then why you give up the 12th over? Oh, okay, like
I agree with you. I wouldn't have. The reason that you give up the 12th overall pick is he wouldn't have made it to you in the second round, and he's still better than anything that you would have got, right? And I thought that's what we all thought Bo Nix was going to be like coming out. I think that this is a crazy spread just because of the way that the Chiefs play and the fact that the Broncos defense is excellent, as well. But Jay, who are you taking?
Give me the Chiefs minus 7.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Broncos at plus 7.5.
I think you're fucking crazy, but that's okay.
Okay. I lost on the Broncos against the Ravens at plus 9 with the same logic last week. So we'll see how this one goes for me going forward. Jay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 6.5 point favorites. How much does Christian McCaffrey mean to this 49ers team? He's back in and he's playing this week.
3 points.
You think Christian McCaffrey coming off an injury makes a whole 3 points?
I do, because you don't have to just run him. He's going to come out the backfield and you can use him as a decoy.
Yeah, definitely. I worry about his injury. I'm not sure how much he means in this game.
To be fair, though, I think Brandon Ayuk's injury cost you some points, too. So at the end, it might be a wash, but I still don't think that matters this week.
Yeah, going in with Christian McCaffrey in this game, I don't think he'll give you much this week just because he's coming off an injury. I do think they've been overly cautious with this injury. So he is 100% ready to play. Like he is ready to go. There's no slight niggle or anything there. They've made sure of that. But you've still got the two running backs who've been standing in for him. They've been doing a really good job as well going forward. And Jay, the Bucs, their injuries are ridiculous. Like the Bucs' injuries on the offensive side of the ball are ridiculous. But are you still really impressed with the Bucs considering how many injuries?
Yeah, but I think it's all going to catch up to them at some point too, and I think it'll probably be this week.
See, I think that the 49ers coming back with Christian McCaffrey this week, I don't think they'll be as good. I think Christian McCaffrey makes a huge deal to them going forward in the season. I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think it will be within one score. So give me the Bucs at 6.
Well, give me the 49ers. My guess is McCaffrey has over 70 yards rushing and over 30 yards receiving. He'll hit over 100 yards and be the difference in the game.
Yeah, I think we're both seeing.
I think that people underestimate how much teams use a guy when he first comes back too.
Yeah,
everybody's always like they're gonna bring him in slowly, and then he has 30 carries.
Especially with how rested Christian McCaffrey will be. Like the fact that he's 1,000,000% ready to go. They've really waited him out here. Jay, the Bears is 6.5 point favorites against the Pats. I thought this was another point spread where I'm like, I see why the Bears are favorites, but I'm not getting the point spread here. Has Drake May performed at a better grade than Caleb Williams this year?
I don't think so. What I see from Caleb Williams, it's all there. It's just they put him in horrible positions repeatedly. And he makes bad mistakes and dumb decisions too, but he's a rookie and you expect that. It's just compounded because of the fact that they make horrible fucking decisions and put him in bad positions.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Caleb Williams has played much better ball this year, than his stats would suggest. He's just not put in the right situations. I think Drake May has made a bigger difference to his team, but that's more just because of the Pats situation and how bad that they are. Like just having a spark from a rookie has shone on the field, I think is a bigger difference. A bigger difference for them. Jay, is this a lose the game and lose the job for Eberflus?
I don't think he'll be fired this week, but I think it could contribute to him being fired.
Yeah, I think this might be, if they lose this game, I think that this will be the one that they say, okay, we're looking for new coaches now to come in at the end of the season. I think the Chicago Bears job is extremely attractive just because of the market that you're in, the players that they have. The only problem
I'd have is the owners, because the owners dictate what you can, like how you dress. You're not allowed to swear if you're a coach of the Bears. Like, I think a lot of that, like, these are grown ass dudes in 2024. I think that younger coaches, I think that would rub the wrong way, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. The Bears is 6-point favorites in this one. Jay, who you got?
Like, I sound the guy who's taking all the favorites, but give me the Bears in this one minus the 6.
I think for me, I think the Pats have been playing some really good, close football, and I think the Bears. What we forget to mention here is that we know that the Bears players have quit on Matt Eberflus. Like, we know that if this game is close, we know that the Bears aren't playing for the coach anymore. They're not playing for him. They've said it. I want to say that he hasn't left the dressing room. Speaks volumes from DK Moore there. So give me the Patriots in this one. I didn't think I'd be betting much on the Patriots this year. I just think that the Bears don't have it in them to play a close
I think
game.
you've taken the Patriots the last 3 weeks.
I
think you've taken the Patriots the last 3 weeks.
Let's see. No, not that. No, I took the Titans. Took the Titans last week, but then I took the Pats against the Jets, and then that's it. Oh no, we both took the Pats against the Jags as well. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Maybe I am betting on the Pats more. I think I just expect them to play closer games than what the spreads are allowing. As you're going through here. Jay, the Chargers are 8-point favorites against the Tennessee Titans. Instead of a clash of the Titans here, Jay, is this a clash of the defenses? I could see this being a big defensive game.
I don't know. I went back and forth on this game a lot because it's 8 points, but I have zero faith in the Titans whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough assessment of where both teams are. I think the Titans defense has been really, really impressive. I actually weirdly think the Titans are maybe a quarterback away from being back to being AFC contenders again, but they just do not have that quarterback in the building here. Jay, is Justin Herbert, the other side of this is how good the Chargers have looked, right? The Chargers have looked really put together. And is Justin Herbert Jim Harbaugh's perfect quarterback? He seems to put his ego aside, doesn't mind that he could throw for 500 yards a game, Justin Herbert, if he was put in the right situations. He puts his ego aside. He's really intelligent. He can run the ball as well. And he makes those big plays when he's asked to. Do you think he's their perfect quarterback?
Yeah, probably, because I think, and I don't know how it would have been in the beginning when he first got there, if he would have felt the same way, but I think he just wants to win at this point. I think he's been in the league long enough, had a bad team, and he just wants to win.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I just think he wants to win now. He gets in the Justin Herbert. I agree with you. After those years under Stanley, I think he's right there. What's this? Good morning. So I had Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, and Chase Brown on Thursday. My question is, should I start or sit the rest of my team? So how many points did you get there?
Yeah, I don't know what the outcome of that was.
Chase got 59. And then Chase got 59. I'm pretty sure Chase Brown got about 20 or 30. And then Mark Andrews must have got about 20 as well. So he's already...
I think you're good. Start him. Run up the score.
I would always run up the score. Never leave it to chance, you know? Only leave it to chance if you're having to... If you've got loads of players on a bye and you're having to change loads of stuff, that's the only time that I leave it up to chance as well. But I think if you manage to lose from this week, you've been really, really unlucky, or the rest of your team is horrific. Chase Brown, really good fantasy pick, by the way. 87.6 points so far. That's a lot. That's very impressive. Good start to the week. If you had basically any players in that Bengals Ravens game, then you're pretty well set up for this week. So congratulations there. Back to the Chargers versus the Titans game. I just think the Chargers are so well put together this season. I think Jim Harbaugh has really changed the culture there in LA. I think he's done an amazing job, and I think that Justin Herbert is his perfect quarterback. He's just happy to be winning under after dealing with Brandon Staley. Jay, the Chargers are 8-point favorites in this game. Who you got?
I hate it, but give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't love the point spread either. I went back and forward on this one, but give me the Chargers in this one as well. I think they're just so well drilled and put together that they'll take care of the Titans. Jay, a game that I'm really tempted to not watch this week. The Philadelphia Eagles are playing against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott looks like he's out till the end of the season, taking on a surgery. I approve of that from the Dallas Cowboys there. Take the surgery, get his hamstring sorted, get it all right, take the surgery and those kind of things. Micah Parsons is back. CeeDee Lamb is playing. Deron Bland is still out, unfortunately. Jay, the Eagles are 7-point favorites here. How does Micah Parsons' return affect this game?
It doesn't.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. Coming off a lengthy injury against one of the better O-lines in the NFL, and the fact that I'm convinced he's made himself ready for this game so he can sabotage us from the inside. You know, that's how he feels about the Eagles at the moment.
I just think that defense under Zimmer is awful, and it doesn't matter. You could bring in Lawrence Taylor from back in the day, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I want to see Zimmer get as many of the defensive pieces back that he can, so he could almost audition for the rest of this season to keep his job next season. But I think if the Cowboys keep him next season, then they're just doing themselves an absolute crazy disservice.
If they keep him, that means they're keeping McCarthy.
Yeah, they must. If they keep Zimmer, they'll be keeping McCarthy.
You can't bring in a young coach and have a former head coach as your defensive coordinator that he didn't pick.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would just be a massive mistake if they do that. But I would like to see that the defensive players come back so we can actually see what we've got moving into next year. For the Dallas Cowboys, Jay, I think this is a year of find out what you've got. I don't want them to tank. I wanted to find out what we've got with our players in the building. It's why I want to see Trey Lance. And Jay, should the Cowboys already be playing Trey Lance in this game?
As fans, we all want to see it, but they must think that Trey Lance can't play.
Yeah, I think in this game particularly, I don't want to see Trey Lance. I'm happy to see Trey Lance against some probably weaker teams. I don't want to see Trey Lance against the Philadelphia Eagles with the way that just that rivalry that's out there as well in a divisional game. I think Cooper Rush will handle it much, much better. Jay, are the Eagles doing the opposite of what they did last season where they started really well and now they're finding their feet and they're finding their form at the right time? Is that what you think that the Eagles are managing to do this season?
I think they've played fine all year. I think their record has shown it. I think you're the only one who thinks they've played like ass and are like a 1-5 team. You act like they're a 1-5 team every time we get into a chat. Maddie's like, worst team in the league. Jalen Hurts can't play. Sirianni should be shot by a firing squad. Like, this is Maddie every time in the group chat.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're not playing as good a football as they weren't playing at the start of the season as good a football as their record suggests. They haven't played a decent team yet. They're not going to play a decent team.
The greatest coach in NFL history once said, "You are what your record says you are."
Yeah, like fair enough. Like all fair enough, but the Eagles weren't what their record said last year, were they? So I think it's fair to assume that maybe they're not what their record is at the moment, but I do think that their form is ticking up. I think they looked really, really good last week. I think that they started to bottle the game. They looked really good in the first half last week, and then it looked like they were going to bottle the game, and I was going to be proved right. But I went back through and watched the highlights and watched the whole 40 minutes back to back, and was like, yeah, okay, the Eagles are much better than I'm giving them credit for. They're playing much better football here. The addition of Saquon Barkley, I think, is pretty impressive for them.
I need to clip that and just keep replaying it. The Eagles are better than I thought they were. The Bengals are better than I thought they were.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. They're better than I thought they were. I think they're ticking up into a good run of form when they're about to go through their actual difficult fixtures. Now, I don't think they've had a particularly difficult schedule till this point, but they're going to be going into their much harder run of the schedule now once they're done with the Cowboys. I do think this is a divisional game, though, and I do think the Cowboys showed enough against the 49ers and the Falcons to suggest that they've at least got something in the building. And I think Cooper Rush is able to play good enough football to keep them in the game. I don't love 7-point spreads in divisional games. I'm going to take the Cowboys to be within the spread here of 7 points. With Micah Parsons returning as well, hopefully adding a bit more to that defense as well. So I'll take the Cowboys being within the 7 points, but I think the Eagles are going to win.
Give me the Eagles. I'd have took this if it was a 9-point spread.
Wow. Okay.
They're going to win by double digits. Without Dak, they're dead. They're dead. And CD's not healthy. I don't know.
He's playing.
Yeah, well, just because you're playing doesn't mean you're healthy. And
he's not no questionable or anything like that, but he did look half dead by the end of the game last week as well. Yeah, I'm not confident in them winning. I just think the Cowboys are the kings of garbage time touchdowns and all of that kind of stuff as well, which is important to remember.
Well, Dak is.
On the Cowboys. Yeah, well, Cooper Rush got one last week. Cooper Rush had 2 touchdowns taken away from him from drops on receivers. It's okay because Jonathan Mingo, our 4th round trade wide receiver, is going to be the next best thing in the NFL, apparently. So according to the news coming out of Dallas, we'll see what they say. Jay, I think the next game is going to be particularly fun to watch, particularly interesting. 2 of the most up and down teams in the NFL. The Arizona Cardinals are playing against the Jets. The Jets are now 1.5-point favorites. When we picked on Thursday, they were also 1.5-point favorites. I thought they were 1.5-point dogs, but no. Jay, is the Jets defense stepping up to the plate now, or were the Texans really bad on the offensive line? What did that game tell us about the Jets defense?
Well, I think it's both, but I think the Jets are finally starting to click, and it's the offense clicking that has me thinking, oh, the Jets need to make a run. Now, granted, they put themselves in a really big hole. But if you do look at their schedule, again, like the Bengals, it is winnable. So we'll see. I'm not betting that they'll make the playoffs anymore, but this was one of my locks, and I stand on that. Jets are going to destroy the Cardinals.
Destroy. Wow. I think so. For me, I think I want to see the Jets run defense here. That's what I want to see, because they weren't good against Mixon, and for some reason the Texans refused to continue to run Mixon. James Conner has been one of the best backs in the NFL this season, and they have Kyler Murray in the backfield. So I want to see how their defense handles the run, and if they can keep that. I agree with you. Their offense is clicking 100%. Garrett Wilson is a huge player for them. Devontae Adams is playing really, really well too. But I think if they're able to keep them off the field, then the Cardinals are good enough offensively to win this game as well. Jay, the over-under on this one is 46, which I think on these two teams is quite an interesting over-under.
Yeah, what's that, 23 each?
23 each.
Yeah, I think the Jets get over 23. I don't think the Cardinals do.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's a question on the defense, I think, this game. Jay, is Kyler Murray?
I think the Cardinals' problem is they got slow receivers too.
Yeah, I think James Conner has been really good out of the backfield this year. I think they are.
He's projected at 15.1 in fantasy.
Yeah, whoever their 4-2, 4-3 wide receivers are coming out of the draft, the Cardinals need to be making sure that they're going for them as well in the draft. Jay, do you think that Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL now? Because we used to talk about him like it, and then he fell off, and now no one talks about him being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Where do you think he's at?
Without doing a list, he's probably somewhere between 5 and 9, or 15 and 9. I mean, 15 and 9. I didn't mean
Yeah,
5. I meant 15, but yeah.
I would agree with you on that. He's one of those guys where there's too many top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. That's where Kyler Murray is, and it's any given week they can switch over the top 10. That's where I think he is. I would put him in the top 10 for his play this season right now. Jay, you're going for the Jets. I'm actually going for the Cardinals at +1.5 in
Thank
this one.
goodness.
in this one. We do get quite competitive over these over the spreads here, guys.
And let's not forget, Maddie is just a Jets hater.
Oh yeah, I just hate the Jets. I left Aaron Rodgers off a top 10 list once.
All you have to do is go listen to the whole season as he just lambastes the fucking Jets every week.
I think I said 2 weeks ago, if the Jets are favorites in a game, I'll bet against them, and they're the favorites in this one. So I'll be taking that one to the bank here. Jay, the Houston Texans, after getting beat by the Jets, are playing against the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 3.5-point favorites. Jay, can this Texas O-line hold on? Not hold on. Maybe that's not the best thing to say for an O-line, but can they stop this Lions defensive line?
I mean, if you completely stop them, I think that's like a hard task. But here's the thing. I'm taking the Lions, but I do think that the Texans have a legit shot at being the upset of the week in this game. I said it before. I think this could be the letdown game for the Lions because they're really feeling themselves, putting up 40 and 50 points on teams. And it's the NFL. The odds of you going 18 or 17-0 are slim to none. And so at some point, you're going to bump into somebody who beats you. This could be the game. But I'm still taking the Lions. I'm still betting the Lions. But trap game.
With the Lions, I think they have a different attitude to what a lot of teams have, just with the way that Dan Campbell runs a culture. So I actually think the reason why they get tired, why they made their mistakes, is they play every game like it's a Super Bowl, and they don't actually look at the big picture a lot of the time. I think the Lions, so I don't think they'll slip up because they're feeling themselves. I'm not sure how that's how the culture is there. I think they just go for every single game like it's their Super Bowl, and I think that affects them further down the road. It's why they deal with injuries. It's why they give off really cool plays are now in everybody else's playbook because the Lions showed them it in blowouts, those kind of things. I worry about the Texas O-line, the Texans O-line here as well. Jay, is Nico Collins being back? How much does that affect the way that the Texans play the game for you?
It's huge because that's him and Stroud. That's their connection. And once he gets it going, Mixon, Nico Collins, and then it opens up for Tank Dell and other guys. But I think this whole thing it's the three-headed monster of Stroud, Mixon, Nico Collins is what makes them go.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like how Devontae Adams being at the Jets allows Aaron Rodgers to throw that half second faster, and why they get the ball out so quickly, which then takes away from the offensive line problems as well. Just a quick one here, Jay. Jared Goff MVP at the moment still?
That was my pick last week.
Yeah, I'm still happy with it. I like it. I think his stats are pretty incredible. I'm also taking the Lions at 3.5 here as well. This was one of my best bets of the week. The Lions here, but I can see where it might be a banana skin for them as well. But we've both gone for the Lions in that game. And Jay, to finish off this week, we have the Rams -1.5-point favorites against the Dolphins. How much of a coaching mismatch is there between the Rams and the Dolphins? Because at the start of the season, people were talking about McDaniels on the same level, towards the same level as McVay. But how much of a coaching mismatch is there now after we've seen them without Tua?
It's hard for this week because McDaniels knows McVay's offense. Mm-hmm. So does that help against him? Because any other coach, I would be like, well, McVay is, not any, but most every other coach, right? There's a handful of guys in the league I have at tier 1, and then there's tier 2, and then, you know what I mean, everybody else. But I got the upset in this game. I think this is the first upset I picked this fucking day or today, this week. But I'm going with the Dolphins to win this game. So give me the Dolphins minus the 1.5.
Yeah, Jay, is that because of how much improvement you've seen in the Dolphins defense, the Dolphins offense, now that Tua is available? Because his anticipation throwing is insane.
It's because Tua's back, and it's good when it's hard to deal with all that speed in Miami. Mm-hmm. But when you don't have a quarterback that can't get anybody the ball, none of the speed matters, right? So yes, Tua's a big part of it, but it's the speed on that team that has me making this pick.
Yeah, I think Tua being back and the fact that they can get it out to their playmakers out wide really opens up for Devon Achane as well. I think that's really impressive. But Jay, I'm actually going for the Rams in this one. I think the Rams, when they've got their whole offense healthy, is like one of the best offenses in the NFL. But I'm also really impressed with their young defense. I think that's not getting the credit that it deserves. The Rams haven't made a bad defensive draft pick for maybe 3 years. Maybe 2-3 years, they haven't made a bad defensive draft pick whatsoever. And without Aaron Donald there, they're playing really great football.
Yeah, I think you can pick whoever you think is the best receiver on the Rams, and you can pretty much say that he's going to be limited and taken out the game at times because of Ramsey. But
yeah, definitely. All right. Moving on to segment 3, which is my favorite segment in what we do. It's GMJ, where we get our resident GM here, Jay, to analyze some of the most difficult situations in the NFL. And Jay, I'm putting you in the Saints front office right now. Who's the number one coach that you're targeting for next season?
Sorry, Malik Neighbors, just huge catch down the field. And the Giants are driving to tie this game up. What was that question? Sorry.
No, of course. You're in the Saints front office. Who's the number one coach that you're targeting next season?
If I'm running any team, Johnson's my number one coach. But I think more of the question is, which coach wants to go to the Saints because it's a complete shit show?
Yeah, you're struggling with cap. You don't have any coaching staff embedded there. Like, you've got to just
again for the third week in a row. I'll let you know, Gail Benson is a scumbag and is a horrible owner.
Yeah, definitely. And
look at just the Pelicans.
It's just you need to. So the opportunity that you have if you're going to the Saints is also the Saints' biggest problem, and it's the fact that you can build this thing up from the bottom. But the biggest problem is you're trying to build something up from the bottom without having any cap space, and you have a terrible owner. So it's really difficult. But you're going after Ben Johnson. He's the coach.
No matter who I am. Yeah. But if you want a complete culture change and you're not like worried about everything else except changing the culture right now, then Vrabel is a great choice.
I was thinking about Vrabel actually and thinking he would be the kind of guy that I would want to go in and just start something from the bottom up and see where we get to. And I think that Vrabel might actually be available and would actually take the Saints job as well. Like Ben Johnson, we've talked about this a lot, is the same standard as Cliff Kingsbury. What incentive do they have to leave right now? Like, what incentive do they actually have to go if they don't necessarily want to be head coaches?
Well, I think Johnson's going because you can only push off so many times before the NFL just says, fuck you.
Oh yeah. That's fair enough. Jay, as a GM of any team, GM consultant here, would you ever encourage tanking? If you knew your job was safe, you're going to be there next season, would you ever encourage tanking?
I would never, ever say it to the players or the coach. But as a GM, you can make moves that tank a season. And yes, if you need a quarterback, definitely, I got no problem crushing a season to get a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, what I want to do is, if I know my job is safe, I want to make sure that the team lose games, but I want to make sure that the teams lose games playing hard, and I'm able to evaluate our players while we're there. That's what I want to see. I want to be able to evaluate my team, but also be very happy losing games.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You got a guy with a little bit of a nagging injury. You just go to the coach. You're like, we're resting him. We can't risk him.
Yeah.
You know what I
exactly.
mean? And exactly. Things like that. So there's things you can do. And if you know that you have a couple guys who aren't going to be there next year, I'm trading them. You know what I mean? I'm trading them, getting them off the roster, getting a few. It's not even about the late round picks. It's about we're not going to have them anyway, so let me make my team worse right now.
Yeah, and about the late round picks, like if you're in a cap situation, that's how like the Saints are, for example, who the Saints are going to be one of these teams that are thinking, should we be maybe trying to lose more games than we win here? More late round picks is going to be better for you in terms of building your roster as well. So, yeah, I would never encourage it. I don't want the team to tank. I don't want that to be the culture in the organization. But I wouldn't mind them losing whilst playing hard as well. And Jay, just a final question on coaches here and about what coaching moves you'd be tempted to make. Which college coaches would you be tempted to ask to step up to the NFL? Now, this doesn't have to be for head coaching positions. This can be for offensive and defensive coordinators as well.
I think another guy that needs to get looked at again would probably be Matt Rule. I think he'd learned from some of the mistakes he made while he was in Carolina last time. Now, Nebraska hasn't lit the world on fire, but you can see that Matt Rule can coach with what's going on in Nebraska. I think another guy who is rebuilding Wisconsin right now, but I think Luke Fickell would be a good NFL head coach.
Yeah, definitely. There's guys out there. I'm not sure about Matt Rule coming back in and being my head coach, but I definitely want it. I wouldn't mind him being on my staff and all of those kind of things. I think when we're looking at college coaches, I would rather be looking for coordinators to step up rather than looking for the head coach. Because
if you're a head coach, why would you want to go be a coordinator in the NFL, though, is the question.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is people always forget Pete Carroll, New England, shit show. Bill Belichick, Cleveland, shit show. Like, there's a lot of really good coaches who didn't do well their first stop.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely. And again, it's another one of those things about like the developmental stuff in the NFL. Everybody talks about the development of players in the NFL, but nobody talks really about the development of coaches in the NFL and giving them second opportunities when they go through as well. So that was our segment, GMJ.
Actually, quick point on that is it's what I keep saying, and I'm beating this guy up, but it's what I say about Dan Campbell. I don't think he's learned anything. He still makes horrible decisions, man. Like, I think that some of his decisions are going to hurt them in the playoffs, as amazing as they are.
Yeah, he just makes the same decisions over and over again. That become a problem. But that was it on GMJ there, guys. I hope you enjoyed that segment as much as I do. But we're moving on to segment 4 in the show now, which is our fantasy players to watch. And this is where we pick players who we think are going to do either really well on fantasy or they're an important watch to decide what you're going to do with your roster moving forward in the season. Jay, who's your first fantasy player to watch this week?
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game against that Cowboys run game. His athleticism is crazy. He's good all over the field. He helps the Eagles in every position.
He's on one of my fantasy teams, which is 9-0 right now. So
nice. What's he projected on?
You can give yours and I'll let you know what he's projected on. I'll look this up.
Yeah, of course. So my first one for this week is actually James Cook going up for the Bills, going up against the Colts here. The Colts have one of the bottom 5 run games in the NFL, run defenses in the NFL in terms of points, in terms of yards per game. With Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman being out, I think that James Cook takes a huge load of the workload this week. It takes a huge load. Pause.
See, I think James Cook is a problem this week, and I don't think he's going to score as much. But that's just me. But Saquon's projected at 20.1.
Yeah,
we have a tie game with 5 seconds left. Well, there you go, Germany. You get an overtime game. It's probably the best thing that could have happened, even though it's one of the most low-scoring games in the NFL.
Yeah, it's actually quite a sneaky good game in terms of actual competition. Jay, who's your second fantasy player to watch this week?
It is Russell Wilson.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. In this game against the Commanders, I think both sides here, Jaden Daniels and Russell Wilson, but you can't put Jaden Daniels on a fantasy.
Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit. Yeah,
it's just cheating. Yeah, it's just cheating in that one. I think they're both going to have big games this week against each other's secondary. Jay, for my second, I've gone for Kyle Pitts. With Drake London injured, I think that Kyle Pitts could have a big game this week, especially the way that the Saints offense has been playing, which is leading to a lot of Falcons, which will lead to a lot of the Falcons being on the field, and the Saints defense isn't exactly setting the world on fire either.
All right. Well, my third pick is Nico Collins.
Yeah, I really like that one. I was going to go for him as well, but I've picked somebody else. I was going to go for him if you didn't go for him. But he's a player to watch, right? To see how good he's going to be for the rest of the season.
And I think he's a guy you put in your flex because I think he'll get you 15 to 20 points no matter what, because he's the go-to target for CJ Stroud. I think he's kind of his security blanket. So I think you can't be hurt even putting him in at your flex.
Yeah, and if you were in our league, in the Yankee and the Brit league, he's a starting wide receiver for you just because of like the way that our league shapes up.
Yeah, and he is most weeks. I'm just saying, coming off an injury, I wouldn't have a problem playing him at the flex.
Yeah, 100%. I would get him in this week as well. Jay, I'm going to finish off with James Conner going up against the Jets. The Jets run game, the Jets run defense here. And I think the way that the Cardinals should play this game, I'm not saying it's the way that they will play this game, but the way that they should play this game is through the run game here.
Yeah, that's going to be the key to the Jets win, is just slowing down the run game and then keeping Kyler Murray from running those 50-yard touchdowns.
Yeah, those 50 yards touchdowns, or those. Actually, he's much better at running and throwing on the run than people give him a lot of credit for as well. But obviously, that only works if your wide receivers are getting open. Although Marvin Harrison Jr. has been good this season.
He is. I just think that it hurts they don't have a take the top off guy, because you can just throw your safety over the top of Harrison and be like, okay, here we go, and you don't have to worry about it. I think for the Jets, the key to winning this game is containing Kyler Murray.
Yeah, keep him in the pocket. Keep him in the pocket the whole time, and you'll be fine.
I'm trying to think, like, would I spy him? But I'm like, I don't know if I have anybody fast enough.
Yeah, I was thinking about it as well. It's like,
I think you just gotta play zone the whole game, so your DB's backs aren't turned to Kyler Murray.
Yeah, it's like how I was saying when the Cowboys went up against Lamar. It's a game where I would rather Micah Parsons was playing it stand-up linebacker and spying Lamar, because he's the only guy fast enough, right? Going through that game, but not a lot of people have linebackers who can do that, so we'll see where they get up to. That's our fantasy plays to pick, and that's actually been a really good segment for us so far this season. So if you're and ahhing on any of those players, then feel free. I would put them in if I was you. Jay, we're going to finish off the show with our final segment here. It's the Brits picks. Not a lot of movement in the Brits picks this week, but let's get it up and make sure that the banners are out the way and those kind of things. Is it that one? Yeah, there we go.
I already got a question, so I can't wait till we go through this.
Got it. Fantastic. Jay, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs still at number 1. They're the only undefeated team in the league. The Ravens at number 2, which I'm not feeling super confident about due to their vulnerability. The Lions are putting teams to bed at the moment. We'll see if that continues. The Vikings are playing. They're back to winning ways, so they had to stay up there. The Commanders have been electric this season, going through. The Bills have Josh Allen playing the best football of his career. The Steelers have reignited Russell Wilson. The Chargers are a well put together team under Jim Harbaugh. The Rams, I think, are going to make the progress. They're going to keep on going forward here. And the Falcons, I think, have a really supercharged offense that they're able to use. And Kirk Cousins is solidly put himself back at top 10 QB in the NFL. What's the question?
Well, my first question is, how are the Ravens over the Lions?
Yeah, I think if the Ravens and the Lions played each other this week, I think the Ravens would come out with the win. Like, I think they would come out with the win just because of the way that they play football. And I think that Dan Campbell would cost the Lions the win in that game.
And you don't think Atlanta would beat the Rams?
No, not with the Rams healthy. Now that the Rams are healthy and this young defense, I think the Rams would win.
Okay.
this young defense, I think, is one of the most undervalued units in the NFL at the moment. They haven't got a single pick wrong for about 2-3 years on that defensive side of the ball. But yeah, they're the Brits picks.
All right, that's it. That was the only ones I had.
Yeah, you like him. I think they. I think we're looking good. I think I've got tiers here, Jay. They're basically tiered in my view. I think the Chiefs are starting to pull away from the Ravens now, and the Ravens have fell back into the tier with the Lions, the Vikings, and the Commanders. Then it's the Bills, the Steelers, and the Chargers, and then it's LA and the Falcons, and then there's teams just behind. Like the 49ers, we'll see. Once Christian McCaffrey's played his first game and we've seen him back, I can imagine the 49ers are going to shoot back into the top 10. I think the Eagles, if they put it on the Cowboys, are probably going to find their way back into the top 10 pretty soon as well. So, yeah, that's the Brits picks for this week's, guys.
I think you're going to have tiers this week, and that's with an A. After Denver just gets demolished in this game.
My sweetheart team, Jay, don't do that. But yeah, and that's the show, guys. We have 15 minutes till kickoff. Is the Munich game going into overtime?
It's in overtime, but I got to wait for the refs, but it looks like the Cardinals just forced a turnover and are taking over with 9 minutes and 49 seconds left.
Yeah, the Panthers just forced a turnover. Right. Okay.
Did I say the Lions?
You said the Cardinals, which I quite enjoyed actually. At least it started with a C.
Okay, I meant the Carolina Panthers, but
that's good. That's good. Good news. All right, Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 here. Make sure you tune in for MMA Underground every Tuesday. If you missed it, go back and watch College Football Junkies. Mark in Montana, been killing it on there. And I hope you guys all enjoy your Sunday. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.